I'm going to be showing you guys how you can get patients using Facebook ads to launch and scale your physical therapy practice. So the timing that you're launching this doesn't necessarily. Facebook ads can absolutely help you no matter what stage your practice is at, whether you just launched it, you've been at it for a while, or you're a veteran, been running it for years. This stuff can work. So over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact strategy that creates a limitless supply of patients coming into your practice using Facebook ads. And I'm going to be walking through our entire step-by-step formula in order to make this work and create a bursting pipeline of new patients using our simple Facebook ads framework. Okay, so we're going to walk you through exactly all of this stuff and what this process actually looks like. All right, so now I'm going to walk you through our entire 6 to 7 figure process that we use, crafting winning ads, our high converting landing page method, our bullseye Facebook ad optimization system, our 7-figure patient experience framework, the predictable hyper growth, hyper scaling technique that really, all of this stuff really makes up our 6 to 7 figure cash practice Facebook ad framework. All this really just comes together to create a massively successful practice. And what we use to scale my partner's practice to over 7 figures a year in his cash practice. So that's what we're going to walk through today, our patient attraction Facebook advertising strategy. As you see here, this is our process that goes from Facebook ads to landing pages to schedule a phone consult. And we have our high converting email nurturing system basically hitting all these patients again and again and again until they convert. Now I'm going to walk you through everything, what it actually looks like and how this all works. But really, this all goes into the new way to quickly launch and grow and scale your practice predictably from day one. And that's really with our Facebook patient revolver ad system, a process that we've made over the almost 10 years that we've been helping practices grow online. And so here's a picture of one of those ads. You may have seen some ads like this where you call out to your avatar, you ask a relatability question, you briefly introduce yourself and your offer, and then you provide a few testimonials for social proof. Now, maybe you've tried some of these before and they didn't quite hit the mark of what you're expecting. And we'll talk about why in more detail, why that happened in a minute. But it's really because people aren't using our optimization and scaling technique that we'll dive into in just a little bit. This is what we're using to make sure our ads are getting shown to the right people, so we don't have folks who are either ghosting us or scheduling a visit with no intention of buying follow-up visits. Now, here's a screenshot of one of our clients' patient pipelines. And as you can see, we're basically getting new quality leads every single day to put our teams in a position where their schedules are consistently full. Now, I want all of you to imagine that this is your practice and what it would be like to consistently generate quality leads pretty much on autopilot week after week, month after month. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do inside of this training. We're going to show you how you can launch or scale your practice and consistently fill your schedule using our Facebook ad system, using the strategy that you see right here. Now, before we do that, I want to show you some clients who've already done this so you know what to expect and what's actually possible for you. Okay, so here's Jerry. Jerry came to us wanting to expand the physical therapy side of his gyms. He's not a PT, he owns several gyms, and he opened up physical therapy inside of it. He was barely making that profitable and he was second guessing whether it was a good idea or not. But once he came to us, he basically tripled his practice's revenue from 120 visits a month to 350 visits a month in the span of just a few short months of working with us. Then there's Chris. Okay, he was working with kind of general ortho, active adults. He was stuck at 8K for months because he really couldn't do any more workshops, even if he wanted to, because he refused to send his 3-year-old daughter to daycare. He wanted to spend that time with her. And now since running these ads, not only did he not have to continue to do all the hustle and workshops, but he's crushing 20K months and growing thanks to the Facebook ads that we helped him set up and manage. Next, we got Nora. All right, she's a CrossFitter. She works with pelvic health, and she was in really a similar boat. All right, she was maxed out on her time with workshops and her revenue completely plateaued for about 6 months. Thanks to the ads, we basically taught her how to manage, taught her how to set up, and taught her how to scale. She crushed her first 30K months, and she actually had to pause those ads and reduce the ad spend because she had to make a new hire to make room for all of the new people that she was getting. And then there's Blake. Okay, everyone has had a situation like Blake. Right, Blake works with CrossFitters, Olympic powerlifters, active adults, pretty much of every kind. And he had worked with a bunch of other marketers and agencies in the past, and he was about to give up on all of them basically. But we helped him out with his ads, helped him learn how to manage and scale them all in-house. And now he's growing faster than he ever has. This stuff really works no matter what niche that you're working in, okay? Whether it's CrossFitters, endurance athletes, runners, pelvic health, general ortho, whatever it may be, all this stuff works. And we'll dive into the meat and potatoes of all of this stuff in just a second, but I want to show you just how they're doing this when most who have already worked with marketing agencies and other coaches have failed to do this in the past. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I'm Jordan Mather. I'm the co-founder of Clinical Marketer, and I've been on Facebook ads for almost a decade now. And I started when I was the CEO of a company called Health Snaps, which was a physical therapy software company. And what I discovered was the power of Facebook ads. Soon after my partner Max and I got sick of running a software company, we started doing done-for-you Facebook ads for our software clients. And we really mastered how to get high-quality patients from Facebook ads, even consulting for many of the coaches and masterminds that you've probably heard of within the industry. We even opened up our own practice, which is what you see here on the far right. There's a picture of me standing inside of our new practice that we opened last fall in October. But after a while, we found that we were able to get our clients much, much better results, not by doing it for them, by actually teaching them how to run these ads in-house. It's actually really quite simple. And so what we discovered is a process for teaching practices how to get a consistent flow of new patients into their practice while only having to spend 2 or less hours per week actually managing those ads. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here today. Show you what you can do to become more independent by not relying on word of mouth or workshops, and skyrocket the number of new patients per month, and finally gain the consistency and predictability that you need to pay yourself consistently and make new hires and really scale your business using Facebook ads into what it is you had in mind when you started it in the first place. So the old way to launch and scale your practice is to rely on workshops and word of mouth. But when practices launch initially, typically they don't have months to wait for referrals and workshops to pick up. Ours certainly didn't last fall when we launched, nor do they have the time to do all the networking necessary to replace their previous income. Plus, I mean, the fallacy with workshops is that they inevitably lead to these inconsistent patient flows where you're constantly going through feast and famine cycles. So we're going to talk about our new way of running Facebook ads and launching and scaling practices. Now, I'm not saying take all of your eggs from word of mouth and workshop, the word of mouth and workshops basket, and put them all into Facebook. Okay, but if you're relying entirely on word of mouth and workshops to grow your practice, you have to be utilizing Facebook ads. You just have to have them in your strategy. You need that consistency. It's just too sketchy not to. And once you start running ads, you'll notice that patients are scheduling much more efficiently and predictably, and you're able to hit your revenue and growth goals in a matter of weeks rather than months and years. We've had people that came to us that wanted to reach 30, 40 visits a week 6 months from now, and we're able to get them there in 2.5 months. And part of this is Facebook ads is a massive market where you're able to reach way more potential patients than, say, Google, because we're not limited by only reaching people who are actively searching for physical therapy. We're able to reach people much earlier in the buying process before they start doing research. Yet, despite this, 62% of practices that we've spoken to report that they failed with Facebook ads. But fortunately, there's a very simple fix to all of this, so you do not need to be a part of that 62%. So how do Facebook ads actually work? All right, let me show you. Here's a quick primer because I want to show you the actual elements behind great Facebook ads. But first, you have to know what Facebook ads actually are. Okay, so here's basically the anatomy of Facebook ads. This particular example is a $47 pelvic health assessment. And so a lot of the ads that we run, we always encourage people to do the discounted evaluation or the paid discovery visit, whichever way you want to take it, because it works so well. But a lot of people ask me, why offer a discounted service? Do I really want to be considered a discounted physical therapist? And I totally understand that line of thinking. I completely get it. But the problem is that you really need to learn to love discounts, because they do incredible things for the practice. And what we found is that they actually can increase your overall practice's revenue by upwards of 34%, which is actually pretty darn incredible when you actually take a look at it. And so when you actually, and I'll show you the actual numbers and how this stuff breaks down, but we've compared the low price vouchers versus the full price vouchers, and the results are pretty impressive. So take a look at all of these. These take our average conversion rates across high ticket vouchers and low ticket vouchers and show what the ultimate revenue difference is. So initially, when we're only spending $500 a month on our ads, the difference isn't too big. So the difference isn't too big in terms of revenue. It's barely a $1,500 difference. But as we scale those numbers up and we start to spend, $1,500 a month, that is a $4,000 difference every single month. And now I know what some of you might be thinking when you break this down like this, like, okay, that is only true if you're getting the right fit patients in the door that are actually converting on packages. And this is actually why I love Facebook ads, because it's really easy to get the right fit people in the door if you know what you're doing. Okay, so Facebook has over 52,000 data points on each of us, each of its users, so you can pretty much laser focus on extremely specific patient populations and hone in on the people that not only have the problems that you can help them with, but that can also afford and want to pay your premium rates. And so what separates Facebook ads from Google ads or workshops is we have complete control over who is seeing our ads. With Google ads, you're able to target specific keywords. Absolutely. But ultimately, that traffic could be really anyone, and they're very likely to be price shopping you since they're already in the research phase of buying. Okay, workshops, you have more control over for sure, because you can choose who you do a workshop with and who doesn't. And you can make sure that you go to businesses that have your dream clients like gyms, but there's only so many of those. And there's only so many of those you can do a month. And so you kind of go through those pretty quickly. And so you can only cycle them through maybe a few times a quarter, maybe. Okay. But, with workshops and search ads, we're really just fishing. Okay. Hoping whatever we catch is what it is we're actually looking for. But when it comes to Facebook ads, you can think of it kind of like a sniper. We're pulling in exactly who we want to work with, and we're targeting only those populations. And so this is really because we're able to put our ads in front of exactly the right people at exactly the right time, because Facebook ads, machine learning algorithms, all the robot stuff, they can actually predict who is most likely to become a patient based off of your messaging and your offers and who has already opted in to your ads. Now, of course, not everyone that has the problem that you solve wants to or can actually afford to pay your cash rates. And so we use our bullseye Facebook ad optimization system to hone in on the people who can actually afford your services and repel the ones who can't, because that's what marketing is about. We have to attract the people we want, but also repel the people that we don't. And so we do this by testing various discount rates, targeting different income levels, zip codes, as well as different placements on Facebook and Instagram that are producing the highest quality patients. And then when we find those, we triple down on those areas. These are the things that you cannot easily do with workshops or organic content or search ads. Like, sure, yeah, absolutely. You can do a lot of that stuff with Google ads, but it takes way more time because you have to do keyword research. You have to do bid optimizations. You have to add negative keywords, among other things, which takes an immense amount of time for practice owners. Now, I love Google ads, but this is why we encourage practices to start with Facebook ads, because you can manage Facebook ads in under 2 hours a week, which is why we're basically telling practices to start with Facebook ads and only add Google ads and other marketing channels once they've already built consistent and a repeatable system using the ads. Okay, there are tons of ways to effectively advertise on Facebook. So I want to take a quick second and show you the different types of ads, starting with the most common one that pretty much everyone has tried at least once. Okay, boosting posts. These are great for building brand awareness and getting followers, but with these, we have very limited control over who the ad actually gets shown to, and we're not able to make optimizations or run split tests along the way as we're doing this, because it's based off of a post. You can't run split tests of a post. It'd be weird. And so I recommend staying away from this just because you can do the same thing using Ads Manager, but you're able to maintain full control and do split tests along the way. Okay, the next one is a Facebook conversion ad. This is what I highly recommend. This is the best for driving direct response conversions, which is what practices ultimately want. Conversion ads are what we use to drive direct conversions, sales, and leads into practices. So those are the ads where you're most likely to get the right patients on the schedule quickly and consistently. And then the last one, which is a really popular one as well, are lead form ads, which are great for quickly building the email list, your brand. But honestly, these generally generate the lowest quality leads, and where the biggest opportunity cost is lost because we're wasting so much time chasing down leads who aren't really a good fit. And so why are Facebook ads so effective? In short, it's where we can really most easily build the strongest connection and relatability and share authenticity with the people within our community. People are going on Facebook to interact with their families, their friends, and all the different material that is most relevant to them. Okay. And what we're doing is basically ethically hijacking their attention to show them something highly relevant to them and show them that we understand their particular problem better than anyone else does. So what does all of this actually look like? So this was an example from one of our most recent clients who wanted to expand the pelvic health side of her practice. Okay, we helped her write a highly relatable ad that proved to her dream patient that she understood her problem better than anyone else in town, and placed that ad between the content that their audience the content that their audience normally consumes, and the result was 62 high quality leads that only cost her $39 each, which produced an extra $25,000 in profit in just 3 months. Okay, so imagine if you could get in front of the right people at the right time and show them an ad that speaks to their deepest desires, insecurities, fears, and give them a solution that they've actually been looking for or thinking about and actually researching. And so here we have a client who hit her first $8,000 month ever, 100% from Facebook ads, and she only spent $860. Another who was spending $1,500 to $2,000 generally a month and generating consistent 10K consistently by making sure that their ads are being shown to the right people who are actually opting in and converting onto packages. Okay, and so this stuff is super powerful. So when you do this stuff right, that's when you're actually able to convert and scale your practice super quickly. Okay, the biggest mistake that practices make when they create their ads is they're way too general. Okay, people are offering things like free discovery visits or movement and mobility assessments, or whatever idea that they come up with, and they're basically just tossing ideas that are untested at the wall and just hoping something sticks. And what we found works really, really well is a 3-step formula in order to create Facebook ads that actually are going to convert, and not only convert into leads, but actually convert into package sales. And those 3 components are basically the incognito ad creative, the relatability statement or the hook, and their irresistible offer. Okay, now what we're going to do is we put all of this stuff together, and we're going to test it in what we call the advertising launch cycle. Okay, so we're going to test the ads, analyze them, revise them, and repeat. And when we find an ad that's doing great, we basically pull it out, make a variation of it based on what we believe is causing it to be successful. And then we put it back through the cycle again and again, and continue to scale from there. So we pull out the winning ads, and then we increase the budget and gradually scale them over time. Now, I'm going to talk about what exactly this means in just a second, but what we consider this is basically conversion-centric targeting to reach your patients and make sure that they're the people who are ready to buy, not the people who are just going to show up for one visit and then disappear and basically just take up a slot on your schedule. Okay, so to understand this, picture your targeting on Facebook like a gigantic dartboard, essentially. When you first launch your campaigns, you don't really know what's going to convert. So you throw a bunch of different darts at the board to see where they land. And the problem is most practices, when they run Facebook ads, they don't throw enough darts. They launch an ad or two, but never get enough information to really know what worked and what didn't. Okay, the beautiful thing about Facebook ads is we can actually look inside the campaigns and tell what images, what messaging did the best, what age groups and genders converted more often, and what ad placements generated the highest quality leads, and start trimming the fat on the campaign so that we can keep getting closer and closer to the bullseye until we have our winning ads that we can start to scale, create duplicates of, and really just continue to make iterations on. This way, by doing this, whenever we create a new ad, we're more and more likely to hit the bullseye again and again and again, and running Facebook ads becomes a heck of a lot more fun. So what this entire process really entails is what I call the can't lose marketer's mindset. So essentially, you can't lose when you're running ads, when you're following this framework, because you either learn something or you win. And as long as you're continuing to make iterations, continuing to actually look at your data scientifically, you're always making progress, and it is inevitable that you're going to have a successful system. So what you're able to do is basically take your ads, learn from the duds, and ensure that you're constantly hitting more and more bullseyes until you found your winners that are ready to scale. So what this actually looks like in practice is basically monitoring which ads are generating the most leads within the acceptable price ranges, and really just turning off the ads that are underperforming and then duplicating and iterating on the ones that are winning. We call this process pruning and grooming. Okay, so what you need to do to have a really successful Facebook ad strategy is leverage what Facebook calls the Power Five. Okay, these are Facebook's recommendations for best results when running a campaign. So when you're setting this up, number one, you want to have a campaign style budget. Now, some of you aren't going to know what this means, but this is something that we walk all of our clients through at a really high level, showing them step-by-step what to do. But a campaign budget essentially allows Facebook to decide on which patient populations we're targeting to spend all your money on. It finds the lowest hanging fruit and chooses which niches your advertising should be focused around. Part two is dynamic creative. Okay, this allows Facebook to rapidly test multiple creatives across all of your different ads and basically rapid fire test different variations and different mixtures of the messaging, offers, and images that you've created for them. Number three is advanced matching. So this one's kind of advanced, but instead of using Facebook's tracking pixel and allowing it to, or having it only be the only means of sending data back to Facebook, Facebook also pulls in all the name, email, and phone number that people enter in on your system, and it's able to cross-reference that against all its Facebook users and confirm that user. And so we're able to track people much, much more accurately, for allowing our campaigns to optimize themselves and continue to get better and better and better, creating this snowballing effect. Number four is the Facebook Conversion API. Now, this one probably scares off a few people just because it seems so technical, but it's really important to understand this because many of you have probably heard that iOS 14.5, that update, a lot of people think that killed Facebook ads, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, Apple gave people the ability to not send data back to Facebook and not be tracked, but being a smart company, of course, Facebook has come up with a way completely around this called the Conversion API, that basically, instead of tracking things through the phone, we track it on the servers, which the iOS and Apple is unable to block because it's not owned by them. And so the Facebook Conversion API allows us to track everything, get all the data we need to continually make modifications and adjustments to our campaigns. Okay, number five is automatic placement. Okay, this basically rapid fire tests new placements to find the cheapest placement, resulting in more leads and more revenue for you. Most of your leads are always going to come from the newsfeed, but there's a lot of other areas on Facebook and Instagram that we're able to place ads that'll drive our cost per lead down, allowing us to get more leads and more revenue into the business. So now we walk all of our clients through all of this stuff. We show them click by click what to do, tell them, when this happens, do this, and so on. Okay, I was able to scale my own practice to 5 figures per month in just 4 months using only Facebook ads before our word of mouth or any of our workshops even really got started, because it takes a while to build up those relationships. And my partner did not have time to wait for those relationships to build up, because I talked him out of taking his dream job to start this practice with me. So we needed it to work, and it did. So while word of mouth and workshops continue to provide bursts of new patients, you're supplementing them with an evergreen funnel that you can count on to fill in the gaps on your schedule. Some of those other things may still be in the works. The other thing that I want to make sure you understand that this is not, is it is not a silver bullet. Facebook ads are not magic. Okay, even when your Facebook ads are set up perfectly, that does not mean that they are going to be profitable. And I want to explain why. So the ads are just a means of generating traffic. It is up to the practice to have the systems to actually convert that traffic into sales. Okay, most practices that come to us, they say they have excellent systems, they're great at sales, their conversion rates are amazing, but without them really realizing this, is all of their patients have come from word of mouth and workshops where leads are much hotter and trusting. So it makes the illusion that your systems and sales are much, much better than they actually are. When we start getting loads of new leads from Facebook or any other cold traffic source, they're much, much colder and require much more advanced systems to get them to trust you and convert into packages. So here's an example of all of this stuff in action. So this client thought that their systems were perfect, but when we launched the ads, they're kind of struggling to get leads on the phone. So as you can see here, they got 12 leads, only 3 initials were actually booked. And so we helped them install a better lead follow-up system. We showed them our process that we use inside of our 7-figure practice and helped them fine-tune this. The next month, everything cleaned up pretty good. So out of 12, we got 8 people scheduled compared to the previous month's 3. Okay, and so they got more people booked, but not everyone was actually showing up. And so we had a little bit more work to do. But even though not all the patients were showing up, we noticed that the ones who did were converting. So their sales were pretty strong. And so what they needed was a world-class patient onboarding system. And so we set them up with the exact system we're using inside of our practices that's working really well with immediate confirmations via SMS and email. Instead of their boring intake form, we use our evaluation accelerator form. We had personalized text from the clinician once the intake form was submitted. And of course, we had appointment reminders. Now, this evaluation form that we've set them up with has been so successful. We actually had people leaving us Google reviews on how much they enjoyed that process. I was blown away by your intake form. It really seemed like my needs were being addressed and heard. Hopefully we can get the ball rolling before my schedule turns upside down. So who's ever heard of people leaving a review about how awesome intake paperwork was? It just doesn't happen. So then once we had this process down and we knew we were able to get people on the phone, we were able to get them in the door, and we knew we could convert them, we scaled up these ads and they crushed their first 15K month. So it's not just about launching ads. Okay, ads alone will not grow your practice. You also need to optimize your business for colder traffic and ensure your patient onboarding and the experience that is provided is world-class. And when you do this, you'll grow so much faster than ever before because you'll close more packages, get more referrals, and patients will continue to come back to you again and again and again. And so it's important that we optimize the whole system, not just the ads. Okay, so I want you to take a look at my boy Spencer here. Okay, another Wisconsin native. When he joined us, he was barely seeing 30 visits a week, and he was about to give up on owning his own practice, maybe even switch careers. But now he's crushing 25K months consistently, has moved into his own space, and has now made 3 hires since starting working with us about 8 months ago. Okay, then we got Blake. Okay, he's finally hitting consistency within his practice and no longer needs to rely on hustle and word of mouth, and he's relieved because he was working himself to the freaking bone. Then we got Ty. He hit his first $5,200 week just 4 months into opening his practice and is hitting consistent 10K months, all coming from Facebook ads. Okay, and we got Bart McDonald. Okay, Bart, he has a hybrid practice. He does take insurance, and he wanted to increase his direct access patient base. Okay, just 6 weeks into running our Facebook ad system, he increased his direct access patient base from 5% to 25% and generate $28,000 by doing so. All right, we got a few other people. Michael, he's been working with us for several months now, and he's averaging an extra 3 to 5K per month from his ads with an extremely modest ad budget that honestly is ready to scale up. So we got to talk about that. But then we got Christian. He just started this. He was super skeptical about working with ads with pretty much anyone because he had been burned before. But literally 28 hours into running these ads, he booked 4 highly qualified evals that actually ended up converting into patients. And this is the first time that he ever got leads that actually got on the phone, let alone actually buying packages. Now, this story is actually pretty epic. This is a good one. Emily this is a really powerful story because when she joined us, she only had 1 visit per week, and she wasn't even making $300 a month in her practice, and she was stuck inside of this job that she absolutely hated. In just 3 months using this Facebook ad system, we built her pelvic health caseload to 40 visits a week, and she's now working on moving into her new space and making her first hire. Her interview was last Friday. I got to follow up with her to see if she actually closed the deal on that, because that's super exciting, because honestly, I want to scale these ads back up because she had to slow them down to make this next hire. Okay, and I just got a few more here, but Brett hit his biggest week ever, 6,500, and went 5 for 5 on selling packages using the sales system that we helped him set up, generating over $8,000 in the first 11 days in February. Then we got Megan, brand new practice owner. She sold her first $1,700 package, which many people in this group don't even think is possible. There's still people out there that don't think you can sell high ticket physical therapy and collect that cash up front. But when you do, let me tell you, you can begin to scale so much faster, and you're able to provide such a better patient experience because you're able to reinvest that back into the equipment, back into your services, and back into the overall experience that these people are getting. Okay, and so this is what happens when you're able to put the right ad with the right messaging and offer in front of the right person. You grow and scale effortlessly and consistently and have a full schedule that doesn't rely on workshops, hustle, or expensive and time-consuming search ads. So again, this is all part of our patient attraction Facebook ad strategy, putting our ads in front of the right people, sending them to a landing page, and allowing our 7-figure patient experience framework to really do all the heavy lifting to create a bursting pipeline of great fit patients. Now, we didn't have time to really talk about our predictable growth hyper scaling technique, but this is a really big component to having massively successful Facebook ads. Once you have winning ads, scaling those ads and adding in new patient avatars to continue to diversify our patient flow and get more and more coming in is extremely important. We have to be able to identify when our ads are performing profitably so that we can take advantage of the moment and scale those campaigns up. Because if we're getting $6 back for every $1 we put into it, just like you would a stock, you want to put more money in. Okay, so you want to get people clicking on our ads, opting into our landing pages, scheduling over the phone, getting blown away by a terrific patient experience, and then converting them into your high margin packages. Once we have a campaign that's performing profitably, scaling those campaigns up using our hyper scaling technique is what you need to do. There's too many people who are running ads and getting very mediocre results, maybe an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month. That's no small deal, but people don't realize how easy it is to turn that $2,000 or $3,000 into $10,000 or $15,000 just by following this process. So all of this comes together to basically create our 6- and 7-figure practice scaling framework. And we've used this framework with my partner Ben's practice when he was at about $500K a year. And we used it to scale him to over $1 million a year and help dozens of our other clients to multiple 6 figures per year. And that's exactly what I want to help all of you do as well. And so what I'd like to do is invite you to schedule a Facebook ad strategy session by going to clinical-marketer.com/apply. There's going to be a button beneath this video as well. And when you go there, you'll land on a page that looks just like this. Okay, and so once you're here, you'll see that we do have a video that's going to walk you through how to get scheduled, what the process looks like, as well as our, client testimonial supercut and a bunch of really cool case studies and things that we've done with our clients. But really, all you need to do is go here, select a date and time that makes the most sense for you. Then once that's done, if you've worked with us before, since you're in a group, most likely you have your information will auto-populate. Tell us a little bit about your practice and what it is that you're hoping to accomplish over the next couple months, and then just schedule your meeting. And once you do that, there's literally nothing that you can buy on this call. Okay, this is all about making sure that you have the resources available to you to win big in your practice. We have a massive library of free resources that we will make available to you during this call. So whether working with us makes sense or us just giving you a resource, either way, you're going to win after jumping on this very brief 15-minute call. So over the last year alone, we've helped over 200 practices implement our patient getting Facebook ad system with astonishing success. And that's what I want to help you guys do as well. So on this call, again, we'll break down your practice, ask you questions to understand better where you're at and what you're trying to do, and give you some actionable steps to get you there, whether that means working with us or not. There's, again, nothing to buy on this call. So we'll share some resources with you that we think are going to help you get to that next level. But if we do agree that maybe working with us is the logical next step, then we'll get you scheduled with a deeper dive call with myself personally, where we can really dive deep into the minute details of your practice, what your goals are, why those goals are there, and really what the long-term vision of your practice is. And so if you're looking to launch your practice quickly, if you're looking to finally crush through whatever revenue ceiling you've been stuck at or you're looking to fill a new hire schedule, or just give yourself the ability to have some peace of mind that you know exactly how many patients you're going to get next month, I want you to go to clinical-marketer.com/apply to schedule a call with us. Because whether it's working with us or one of our free resources, I know we have the resources available that are going to help you get unstuck within your practice and figure out how to become a little bit more independent when it comes to your marketing and sales, so you can start growing as fast as you want, rather than relying on other people to kind of send people into your business. And so if you're interested in doing that, either click the button beneath this or go to clinical-marketer.com and we'll get you set up.